Good evening, Taisha. Here's your sewer scope from today's inspection. As you're in the basement, just kind of giving you orientation. It's a tight squeeze between that clean outs pipe and the side wall there, so a little hard to get kind of orientation on the clean out where it is, and actually to move my cable through. Wasn't too terrible. Start out just a quick length of cast iron, and then we are right into clay pipe. Right there, we transition over. The clay sections are very, very typical 4-foot lengths of vitreous clay pipe. Some root growth. My guess is that they probably had the line cleaned at some points within the last year or so. The bigger issue is some of the offsets between the clay pipes are rather aggressive. Clay pipe sections are just basically stuck together. They're pressure fitted together. So in a situation like right here, that's a fairly aggressive offset, meaning that they're not lined up the way that they should. Some of it has to do with twists and turns. Obviously, if you're not completely in line with the next section of pipe, there's going to be a bend or an offset, like right there as well. If that was at the bottom of the pipe, then there's probably no way I would be able to push my camera beyond it. But it's at the top because for the most part, the line is going down. There's a downward tilt to it. Obviously, in a plumbing situation, you want that, but also that's where you create those offsets. Not a lot of root growth coming in, which is good. There are a little bit here and there, but for the most part, this is relatively clean. Relatively free flowing. You can see the water at the bottom. That's the bottom of the pipe. This section there's a bit of a lip right there. Took me a little bit to jump over it, but not too terrible. Same here. And then we start to drop, right? So this is the indication that we're headed towards the city connection. Eventually we'll switch from clay over to cast iron again, and that's here we go, right here, right at about 100 feet, 98 feet. We're switching to cast iron. This is a good indication that we're under the city street. This is still your responsibility. Yes. That is a large mound of probably paper product. Could be wipes as well. Initially on my little screen on my camera, I thought it was like a pile of rocks that had fallen down from, there's a failure in the pipe, and there was aggregate that fell down. But no, I believe it's paper product. What I'm going to do now is I'm getting up from my camera. I'm going to the utility sink and turning on some water. One, I want to see if I can literally flush it away. Two, I want to see if it's permeable where the water is going to flow through it. And eventually, what I'll do is I will push my camera head through this, and I'll have the ability to get beyond it. The city connection is really just another 10 or 11 feet, not too much further on. The rookie mistake on my part was that I turned on the hot water instead of the cold water. The downside is hot water in a pipe like this, you're going to create steam, and the visibility is going to go basically to zero. So the big takeaway is that I was able to push past this. I'm still going to recommend that the pipe be cleaned out, just as a matter of course. I want to see what's going on right there. you know, what, what's catching this. So here's that water coming in, dammed up a little bit there, normal. It'll flow through, it'll flow over, and then I will push through. You'll start to see the steam. Again, mistake on my part for not turning on the cold water. But for the most part, we do get all the way to the end. The bigger question that I have is how quickly the roots in the pipe are going to grow back in those clay sections and those offsets. Are they going to be a problem down the road? Because they're at the top of the pipe, my hunch is no. But I would probably want to have this reevaluated the next time that you have the roots cleaned out. Because you don't know how quickly the roots grow back, I would suggest probably within the next 12 to 24 months, you have the line re-examined, see how quickly they grow back, and then you'll get kind of you can create a game plan on how often you'll need to have the line cleaned out. And looking at your screen, there is that steam that I'm talking about. Notice the counter on the top. We're at 105 feet right now. That's just again a rough approximation. It's not overly accurate. I'll push forward here in a little bit, and you'll see we'll get up to about 116 feet, which would be close towards the end of the pipe. I can see the final drop down. Just from experience, I can look at what we're seeing and get a really good idea that yes, that is the city terminus, or the drop off into the city pipe. So there it is, and again we're right there at the end of the pipe, from what I can tell. I'll keep the camera rolling as I pull back. Feel free to watch the return trip if you want. Of course, reach out to me after you look at the written report. Reach out to me with any questions, next steps, guidance, things like that. I'm always happy to help.